Yo!
Once again, our friends from the deep, beyond the deep. You can't even see what we speak.
Oh, yes, in the shadows.
Yes, we are just here.
The shadow realm.
Yes. Just listen to our nice, soothing voices.
Oh, yes.
And just kick back, relax. We got our guest.
My name's Lorenzo.
Yeah. Welcome back, brother. Welcome back.
He returns.
Yeah, he's back again. He was here like 3-4 years ago almost. I'm trying to think what number guest you might have been, because you were one of our first, for sure.
I think it was like 30s, honestly.
Yeah, but like for guests, because we did a lot by ourselves for a little while.
You were one of our early guests, yeah, maybe like 4th or 5th.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're definitely one of the first guests we had, man. And, so welcome back after so long, you know, freaking. What's it been like? What's life like for you right now?
Things are constantly evolving. Like, I think last time I was here, we talked a lot about martial arts. I don't remember everything we talked about, but I think that was one huge.
Yeah, that was a big focus for you.
Yeah,
for sure. 'Cause I think that was, I don't know what it was. Something big was happening though.
And so that's still a huge part of my life. I feel like I've known that since I was young. Like, since I was little, I've always wanted to learn martial arts. I was fascinated by the movies, right? 8 years old, 9 years old, like it was just something driving me. And then when I was 20 years old too, it's like, man, like, this is what I want to do. Like, deep down, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. But you still gotta have like a regular job. You still gotta pay bills. You know, I went to college, I went to school, this and that. But like in my mind, like, dude, like martial arts is like where it's at.
I feel that.
And still, so it's like something that has always been a part of my life. And I think that's like one of my callings. That's one of my callings. It's like, that's just something I gotta pursue. So I've been working just like a regular job. Like I work at a nonprofit, got a decent salary. But I know that what I was meant to do here on earth, one aspect of that is martial arts. And now I'm seeing is like, dude, like not everyone is a fighter. Like, you know, some of my students, they like, hopefully some of them might go to like the UFC or something or make something at a professional level. But one of the biggest things that I want to contribute to the society is, through martial arts, is help like young people develop like focus, discipline, structure, resiliency, like mental toughness. Like that's one thing I'm seeing is like, man, these young boys, these little boys, sometimes, you know, we gotta toughen them up, you know, and it, you know, really bring back the masculinity, in our society, and it's like through focus, through discipline, through commitment, structure, and turn these little boys into men, right? And then they can go on and become engineers or doctors or teachers or, you know, whatever it is they want to do, entrepreneurs.
I agree, man. That's in this day and age, a lot of people are too sensitive and, you know, overly reactive to the littlest things. And my grandfather was telling me the other day too, you know, that you need adversity because, you know, because people who don't get adversity, once it hits them, then they fall down deep and then they can't recover.
Crumble, yeah. They say, like, I've heard this phrase, it goes, adversity introduces a man to himself, and hardship builds character.
Yeah.
So that's a big part of life, you know. You gotta be able to endure. Yeah. And the martial arts is great for that. You know, it teaches you a lot of great life skills. Like you said, discipline, focus, you know, especially the drive to be better. Yeah. You know, it awakens a lot within you. You know, when you stay on the journey and you just experience it, you go through it. There's a lot of different phases, you know.
How to take a hit and don't go down. If you do go down, you get back up, you know, and
it's like Rocky said, you know, he's like, nothing's going to hit harder than life, you know, but you gotta get back up regardless, you know. And so like a lot of the stuff that you do learn in martial arts. So my teacher always talks about how fighting isn't just physical, right? You know, it's mental, spiritual, and emotional. So once you, like, yeah, it's cool to be able to, like, you know, throw your hands, keep your hands up, protect yourself, hurt somebody if you really have to, you know, like, that's cool, you know, but once you be able to translate that same type of information to your other life situations, like your mentality, your spirit, you know, your emotions, how to, like, deal with all these different energies within yourself through these different translations and what you're learning through the art form, it really helps a lot. It's helped me so much, you know. Martial arts saved my life for sure. Yeah. So I love martial arts.
One thing that, so as I develop as a trainer and as a coach is, I'm now focusing more on the mental aspect. Whereas like the physical stuff is easy to teach. I can teach you the techniques. We can drill it. We can practice it. I can give you a little feedback. But the mental aspect, that's a little bit more difficult. And like now, that's my area of focus. Like I want to develop like myself as a coach in that way, where it's like I can teach the mental aspects of martial arts as well as the physical stuff.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's that direction, that inner direction that you're able to give yourself inside like the ring. And stuff like that. Like that stuff's hard. You'd be surprised how hard it is to really think in a fight. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You're like,
well, it's happening lightning fast, right?
Yeah, everything's happening all at once, and you like, especially when it depends. Like a street fight, it's different. There's just no control. You know, you just don't know what to expect. But like in the ring too, there's a little more pressure. It's a different pressure. It's different than the street, you know. There's like, you don't really care in the street, but in the ring, there's the care. Now you gotta be aware of like the rules, and now you got people watching you,
and like I haven't been in a street fight since I began learning like high level martial arts. Like when I used to get in street fights, I only knew boxing. I only knew how to punch, and that's it. Right. After I began learning Muay Thai, Kung Fu, Jiu-Jitsu, I never actually got into a street fight. Like, once I learned how to be more lethal, like, I never actually did it, you know?
Because you don't want to have to...
I don't know. I've never been in that situation since then.
Oh, nice.
Whereas when I was younger, I got in a bunch of fights. So, the interesting thing is, my sparring is always against other trained fighters, or has been in the last, 10, 15 years.
Nice.
Whereas in the street fight, like, I don't know. I don't even know how I would react. It's like, you're not going to block this punch. You're not going to, like, try to defend against, if I take you to the ground, you know how to defend it. Like, you're not going to do that. I don't know.
It'd be weird. Yeah. Like, it is weird. Like, since I've learned, like, I've had a couple altercations, like, I've gotten into fights with my brothers, but it's more so of me trying to avoid the fight than it is me actually trying to fight. That's what I'm trying to subdue the threat, like completely, like, keep it neutral, like, be cool. I'm not trying to actually fight anymore, like, because we could get hurt, especially there's nobody, like, if me and my brother here alone in my apartment, one of us could freaking die, bro. Like, like, one of us just loses it too much, freaking hurts the other too much, doesn't know when to stop, doesn't want to stop when he should. Like, that shit's crazy. Yeah. You feel me? So, like, that's one thing I've been learning to navigate, is how to really just make things cool, and not always about fighting. Fighting, there's more to fighting than just physical fighting, You know
what my theory is? You familiar with like the law of attraction, where it's like your thoughts attract what happens? So I think when I was younger, there was a part of me that wanted to prove myself. Yeah. Like, I was so, like, I kind of was looking for fights. And I wanted it, right? Right. And so I put that energy out there, and then it happened. And then, here I am. I got exactly what I wanted. But then once I began training Muay Thai, especially once I began training Muay Thai, where it's like, it's just brutal. And I'm like, okay, I can fight. I can defend myself. And then I began training Kung Fu. And then it's like, and then after that I began training Jiu-Jitsu. And it's like, I know what I'm doing. I know I can defend. Like, I don't need to prove myself to anyone. And so I stopped putting that energy out there, and I stopped attracting fights. Like, I don't get into altercations. Yeah. I know, it's, yeah. Yeah. So that's the other part, it's, think of parents. So my mom never wanted me to for example, do boxing, because she didn't want me to be, like, aggressive and violent. But I think that's, like, a misperception a lot of parents, a lot of people may have, is like, if you learn, Muay Thai and boxing, then you're going to be like a, like a brutal, savage, senseless guy. But it's like the opposite happens.
Yeah. Because you get so confident.
Yeah, exactly.
Once you know what you can do, you're just chilling.
Yeah. You don't have to prove yourself. You don't feel like you have to prove yourself.
Yeah. And that's that constant, I think that's what it is. It's not even like, I think we're just all trying to reach our potentials.
Yeah.
You know, some of us are fighters deep. It's something that comes from within. I forget, somebody said that. He's like, I can't train you. I think it was, Mike Tyson's trainer. He said, I can't teach you how to be a fighter. He said, that's something that has to come deep from like inside you.
Who, Customato?
Is that his name?
I think it's Customato.
That was Tyson's trainer.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he said that. And so, like, yeah, some of us, that's our potential. We just want to experience how far we could take that. So a lot, like, you got people in prison that are fighters that freaking are just fighting all the time because they're trying to see how far their abilities could go.
I got two theories on that, because I think about that all the time too. It's like, one of my theories is, I feel like in past lives, like I was a warrior in past lives, so I kind of carry that energy into this life, right? And it's just like in me, and it's been in me for multiple lives. And the other part is, like, in our societies, like in a tribe, like you need the warrior class, right?
Yeah.
Like you need the people who are going to defend the tribe, defend the village from invaders. Like every tribe needs to have a warrior class. And it's just in today's society, like you either go to the military, you go to the police, or you can train like martial arts, right? And that's how you can channel that energy, because that's what you were meant to do.
Yeah,
for your tribe.
Exactly. And I have a similar calling. I've been the same my whole life. I've always wanted to, like, at first it was just boxing, because that's all I seen, you know, growing up. I just seen boxing, and, you know, that's all I really knew. But then once I grew up to like teenage, then I started seeing like Bruce Lee and stuff like that. And I was like, you know, I like this guy. And what really sparked my interest with martial arts was history. All right. In history, I did an online school, and I was reading about martial arts history. And I was just learning about all these different martial arts, and it just like lit me up. I was like, dang, I want to learn all this stuff. So I always had it in me, like, oh, when I get older, I'm going to get into martial arts and, you know, and put myself through training. And I finally did it, you know, finally here.
Same. Like, I did boxing growing up, and because I went to community gyms. And so my first two boxing gyms they were free. The coaches were volunteer. The space was sponsored by the city. The first, you know, I was out in California, and then I boxed out here in the north side here in Denver at a community gym. But then I think with gentrification and stuff, like a lot of things started getting shut down. And the community gyms that existed back in the 90s and early 2000s are no longer around. Like that's not a thing anymore.
It's crazy. It's just all over the place now.
What was the one right there on Santa Fe?
There was it was the 303 boxing, right?
I forget. Yeah, it might have been.
Oh, it was D-Town.
Was it D-Town? It might have been D-Town. No, I forget it. There was a boxing place there too.
There was, yeah. I tried going there for a while too, and then I don't know. They started trying to make me pay.
Yeah.
So I was like, dang, I don't got money. You know? I was like,
yeah. So where I'm at now, it's basically a community gym, but you do pay, because I mean they still gotta pay the bills. They gotta pay the coaches and stuff. And so that's what it is now. But when I was young, like same thing. Like I was just watching all those movies with Bruce Lee and, you know, Bloodsport, Jean-Claude Van Damme, and all that stuff, Jet Li. And I really was fascinated by the traditional martial arts, but we couldn't afford it. Like we couldn't afford those. Like I tried it, I tried to check it out, but it's like, man, like we can't afford that stuff.
Yeah.
So then after I graduated from college, once I have making my own money, getting my paycheck, that's when I began training, like learning all those things that I wanted to learn as a kid. Yeah.
So you started with boxing. What was the next one?
Muay Thai.
After. It was Muay Thai right after? That's an interesting one to get into right after boxing.
That's a cool story. So check this out. So it's probably about my sophomore year in college. So I go to college, I go to DU, and I still would go to the boxing gym in the north side to work out every now and then. It's quite a drive, traffic and all that, but I'll go and work out. And then maybe take some break. I took a few months off. And then maybe sophomore year in college, I go back to the gym, and the gym is closed. And there was like a new fitness gym that moved in. But the dude was pretty cool. And he's like, hey, you were here for the boxing gym? I'm like, yeah, like what happened? And it turns out he owns like a bunch of like commercial like gyms around, and like But he like gave me a deal. He's like, do you want to learn? He's like, do you want to learn Muay Thai? Do you want to learn? I was like, yeah, but I can't really afford to pay. He's like, what can you afford? I don't know, me about $50 a month. You know, he's like, done. I think normally he charges people, his clients, like at least $200 a month to work at his gyms, right? But he saw that I was, you know, part of that thing that before he moved in, and that was my first taste of Muay Thai. And then he brought in a coach who lived in Thailand for 9 years, and to teach Muay Thai, and this is like 2010. And so I trained with him, and it was like a lot of one-on-one. Sometimes there was like 1 or 2 other people there, but like small group. And I, you know, trained with him for like a year at this guy's gym. I only paid like $50 a month to like learn Muay Thai.
That's awesome.
That's what's up.
Yeah. So
for a year you did the training?
Yeah, and then he ended up cool because then the instructor ended up moving to like California. So you know, he was one of those guys who like, he owned a motorcycle, and he lived. He was originally from like Sweden, and he lived in like Thailand for 9 years, and he's out here, and then now he's in California. It's like, you know,
oh wow, interesting guy.
Yeah.
Nomadic.
Did you do more Muay Thai training after that, or?
I kind of I just learned. I learned a lot of the basics and the fundamentals from him, and then you kind of just keep doing your own training.
Yeah.
I've seen online, like on YouTube and stuff, that there are a few like advancements or development, but for the most part, like a lot of it's just the same.
Yeah, it's all basics and fundamentals. You just keep training that and doing that, and that's in every sport. It's like that, you know. It's just a constant repetition of the fundamentals, and you refine it to a point to where it's like its own thing.
Yep.
You know.
So I just continued my own development, my own training for a long time. But one of my dreams is to go to Thailand and just spend a few months.
That'd be dope. You're gonna train with Bull Cow or what?
Yeah, like I thought about it. Like, it's like a 9-hour drive from like Bangkok to where he's at.
Nice.
Because he has his own gym.
Yeah, he got his own gym. I really want to train with that guy. He's a beast, bro.
Like I think one of my dreams is like have 3 months off, like travel out there for like 3 months and spend that time over there with Bull Cow, just like
that'd be dope.
That championship energy, you know.
And he's still so young. Like he's like 40 something.
Yeah, so like,
you know what I'm saying? So like, he's still got good years. You could learn some really interesting stuff from that guy, I bet.
Yeah.
You know, his body isn't breaking down all the way yet. You know, that's why I got to get out there soon. But I'm sure he'll do that shit until like well into old age. Yeah, he's one of those for lifers. You know.
What's his name?
Bull Cow.
Yeah, he's like basically like the Manny Pacquiao of kickboxing, of
Muay Thai. Yeah, he's the face, bro. Yeah.
He like put Muay Thai on the map.
He did, yeah, bro. He's a beast, dude. Like hearing his story too. I remember because he wasn't even supposed to compete. He went to the Grand Prix, right? And he wasn't even supposed to compete or nothing. Next thing you know, somebody volunteered him, and he competes his first tournament or whatever, and wins like one of the biggest Muay Thai tournaments in the whole freaking world.
Kickboxing tournaments.
Yeah, kickboxing. Yeah.
Yeah. So people from all over the world, and this guy's a nobody, and nobody's heard of Muay Thai. You know, they're looking at the Japanese kickboxers, they're looking at the Dutch kickboxers, they're looking at, you know, and this dude just
dominates everybody, bro. And he dominated for a few years after that too.
And was that when he was younger too?
That was like that was like his first. That was like his debut, pretty much.
I think culture, like, and I could be wrong. Culturally, they kind of like stayed in Thailand, and for them, like competing at Lumpini Stadium and winning there was like the biggest thing in the world. They didn't really do any international stuff until like Warka. Yeah,
crazy. That's sick. And he just like does like big like open door classes or big like out in the air.
I think he does a range.
He like built his own gym with his winnings.
Yeah, that's sick.
Yeah, he has a lot of belts. He's got a lot of accomplishments. You know, when you see this guy, he could kick through a freaking banana tree.
Oh yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, he's a beast, bro. You know, he's definitely with someone to study.
Yeah. I watched, and then apparently pretty humble too, because like I watched a documentary of like his training partners and people he would go train with, and they had no idea that Walcott was like all of a sudden an international champion, and you know he got pretty big paychecks. I think he got a paycheck for like $60,000 US dollars, which in Thailand goes a long way. And so like he started joking with them like, "Oh, what? So you're rich now?" He's like, "Yeah," but he was like joking.
He's like, "Yeah, technically, I guess."
And then he built his own gym, and it's like, yeah,
That's awesome.
Yeah, and that's why all those dudes really want to fight out there. You know, is to bring money home to their homeland. And
man, that's another thing. It's like some of these like top fighters, UFC fighters, or like anyone like around the world. It's like they train, they compete because like this is their ticket. Mexican boxers, this is their ticket out of poverty. You know.
yeah.
Very unlike American culture, where it's like.
We fight just because we want to fight.
Or, you know, they put their kids in taekwondo or karate so they get a belt. Like, oh, my kid's a black belt, you know? It's
yeah, right.
like over here, like these guys over here, man, this is how like they're going to eat.
Mm-hmm.
I was learning jiu-jitsu, dude from Brazil, and he was here on like an athletic visa. And like training, and he had to compete. So he was here on an athletic visa, which means he had to compete at the tournaments and he had to do this many a year. And it's like for him, jiu-jitsu was his ticket out of poverty, you know, to the United States, out of Brazil. And he trained that way, and he trained us that way too, which was awesome, right?
Wow.
Like it wasn't just like, oh, you know, we're gonna do some drilling. It was like, no, like we're gonna
train.
Yeah.
We're gonna put some work in. Yeah. Train like we're about to freaking fight for our lives. And that's how you're supposed to train, you know.
I remember one time we had like open so we had a rolling like sparring after class, right? And all of us are developing, like our conditioning is going up, our strength's going up, and like I could feel it. And sparring was only like 30 minutes. So like class ends at 7:30, and then you spar for 30 minutes. At 8 o'clock you go home. And he kind of just like went round after round. He's like, okay, rotate. Rotate.
Those are fun.
And then we're all there exhausted. We're like, man, when's this 30 minutes gonna end? This is the longest 30 minutes of my life. He basically just turned off the clock and was like 8:30, and we're still going, and he doesn't tell us that we need to go home. Like, yeah,
our teacher does that too. Yeah, it's to take your mind out of it, because a lot of times you're like you're making it a hard experience because you just want to get to the end.
Yeah,
you know, so you dread the journey. You're like, I just want to get there. I just want to get past this class. All I gotta do is get there. And then once you take that time out of it and the mind out of it, and you're just in it,
yeah,
that's when you really experience what it is all about. You know.
And the other thing is, man, I just have fun. It's like, and that's like me as a coach too. Like when I'm training like some of them kids, and you see the videos, like we're really just, it's like we're playing. Like we're just hanging out and we're playing. But then you know these little kids, 6 years old, 10 years old, but now they're like strangling me, right? But we're playing. You know what I mean? It's like fun, lightheaded, but like this is real stuff too. You know?
No, it's effective.
Yeah, man, that was awesome to see. Yeah, that 10-year-old girl handling that dude.
Yeah.
Was that you? Or who was she choking out?
Yeah,
that was you. Oh, yeah, I was like,
well, I'll talk about the other one though too, with her brother, right?
Oh, that 13-year-old.
Oh yeah.
Nice, yeah.
And then I didn't show you the 6-year-old, but the 6-year-old, like she's just like laughing and having a great time.
Nice.
And it looks like we're just playing a game, and then she's on my back and strangling me.
That's tight, man. How's that been, training younger people?
That's one thing I feel. So, how we were talking early on, how like I felt like I felt like always deep down, I felt like my calling was like martial arts and training. But then, I went to college, and then like I was a teacher for a while. I was this and that, and I worked in this job and that job, and I felt like interesting. Like those jobs prepared me well for they positioned me to where I'm at. So one thing I've seen is a lot of martial artists or like fight coaches struggle with kids because it's like kids are different, and they're trying to train fighters or they're trying to teach them as if they were adults. But they're not adults; they're kids. And so my experience in the education world, in public education, being trained as an actual classroom teacher and working with kids, is actually making me a better coach because I can take a lot of those skills, knowledge, transfer it to the gym.
Nice.
And I feel like that's one thing that makes me different from other schools, other coaches, other trainers.
Yeah, you gotta have, like, when you're teaching, that's one thing my teacher talks about. When you're coaching somebody, you want to accommodate to the individual.
Yeah.
Whatever that individual is, like, even every kid's gonna be different. You can't teach this kid the same way you teach that kid. Because we all learn differently. That's what my teacher talks about too, is that teachers have one style of teaching, but kids have multiple styles of learning, or people in general have multiple styles of learning. Like, some people are kinesthetic, visual, audio. There's all these different modalities of how people learn. So that's how he observes teaching. He tries to figure out how you learn, and then he adjusts his teaching style according to the way you learn.
Yep. So
let me talk to this guy real quick.
So with the kids, there's a 14-year-old boy and the 10-year-old girl. The 14-year-old boy, super disciplined, super focused. I can be like, this is an effective technique, and here's why. And he'll be like, okay, I believe you. I'll do it. I'll train this way. His little sister, I'll be like, look, this is better. Do it this way. She's like, let me find out.
Yeah.
Let me find out. Okay, so when you get the submission and when you get the strangled in, this is why it works. Like, I'm explaining the theory. You're cutting off the carotid arteries to the brain, and if you hold it for like 10 seconds, this is why they pass out, because you're cutting off the circulation to the brain. I tell that to the boy, and he's like, that makes sense. The little girl was like, let me see first. Do it on me. Do it on me. I want to see if this actually works.
I mean, that's good for you too, though, as a teacher, because then it makes you really adjust.
I definitely, I don't know.
That was my water bottle.
Oh, okay. It sounded like a water bottle or something. I was like, okay. That's crazy. I've lived here so long, right? So there's not really a sound in here that can be made that I cannot identify.
But yeah, when it does come to teaching, it is best to meet, whoever you're trying to teach at, their level. It doesn't help if you're trying to be like, oh, I know this, you don't know that. Here, let me show you the right way. That's not, they're not going to get through to them.
And you also got to look at their own, gifts, talents, where their strengths are, where they struggle with. So if they have a lot of speed and reflexes, there might be certain styles that are better suited for that. If they have power, there's other styles that are better suited for that. Are they a striker? Are they a grappler? Like, what kind of muscle? Do they have those fast twitch muscles? Do they have those like strength, endurance muscles? Like, all these things I take into consideration.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's important. That's awesome, though. You said you've been training Tomas for how long?
2 years, over 2 years now.
Nice.
It's been great. I have a lot of fun. Like, I just enjoy doing it. And it's like, what sucks is, not what sucks, but sometimes if people don't realize that, look, I'm just having fun. And then it's like, sometimes, like, I never want them to feel like they owe me anything. Right? Like, I don't charge them. You're gonna gotta pay me. Look, I'm literally just having fun. Like, you don't gotta pay me. Like, it's like, yeah.
But that's also like, sometimes that's how people show gratitude.
Yeah.
They want to give.
Yeah.
They want to give something back. And money is something to give,
like, eventually when I'm running a business, like, I want you to pay because I got to pay these bills. I got to do this and that. But like, right now, I'm not running a business. I'm just doing it for fun. But that's the goal, is to move towards
The business.
or have my own gym. And then, pay your fees, right? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotta keep the lights on.
yeah. Exactly.
Well, I guess that's a good time for us to turn to the financial literacy aspect.
Yeah.
Yes. You gotta have the money for the lights, huh?
Yeah.
So, in the last 20 years, so I first walked into a boxing gym in 2004. I picked up Muay Thai in 2010, Chinese Kung Fu in 2012, Jiu-Jitsu 2019.
Nice.
And so I've really been focused on my own development in these last 20 years. And now it's time to move on to like opening up a bit. And it's two different skills. Running a gym, you're a businessman. You're running a business, as opposed to a martial artist, the person in the gym training and teaching. Two different skills. So now my life is taking me more towards like being an entrepreneur, understanding, finances. And what that has meant for me is before I become a business owner and entrepreneur and I operate the finances of the gym, I have to manage my own finances. And that has been my focus the last few years, is managing my own finances, budgeting my own money, investing and saving my own money, with the goal of, and learning and developing in those areas for myself, so that when it comes time to run a business, I already have all these skills because I did it in my personal life already.
Yep.
It's
It's just habit and routine at that point.
Exactly. And like building new habits, they say it takes at least 3 weeks, to build a new habit, and it takes time, and changing your mentalities and the energy that you carry, building momentum.
Definitely.
That's one thing I felt like. So have y'all heard of compound interest?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, right. So
I haven't.
So like in the finance world, basically you put in money and then it grows a little bit and you get a little bit in return, and you keep doing it and it grows a little bit, and it's like slow growth. But as more returns, more gets reinvested until you hit like a little turning point, and then it's like boom. So you gotta build that momentum. So it's like a little curve. So it's kind of like at first you're only making maybe like 10 cents, and then you're making 20 cents, and then next year you're making $1, and then you're making $2, and then the year after that, now you're making $5. 10 years later, now you're making $100. Now you're making $5. You know what I mean? It's like it building. I feel like I've achieved that in martial arts, where like I've compounded my skills, so that when I first walked into a boxing gym in 2004, my development was super slow, like flatline, right? Like barely learning anything. I'm new. I'm at a community gym. I got to get the coach's attention. Like I'm not paying them to teach me. You don't pay at all, right? You got to work hard and you got to get the coach's attention for them to want to work with you. Like that's the environment. So slow growth, and then you hit a point. And as my skills developed, and then I went to Muay Thai, same thing, slow growth. I didn't know how to kick. I had no flexibility. My foot coordination was terrible. And then I went to Kung Fu, and 10 years later, I've built up all these skills where now if you put me into a Taekwondo class, it won't take long for me to catch that. If you put me into when I started learning Jiu-Jitsu, picked it up pretty quickly. Where like I've achieved sort of that compound skill set in martial arts, where it's like it's just building on itself. Now all these skills are building on themselves. You put me in the Wing Chun class, these skills are building on themselves, And the same thing happens with money. The money starts growing itself. So, yeah, I've been huge on finance now, and my goal is to get to a point where like I don't need the gym to pay my bills.
Right.
Like I just run that because I love it and because I enjoy it. There are like a lot of gym owners who struggle financially because it's not necessarily always like a lucrative business. But I want to be to a point where like I'm doing this for fun, right? Like not be,
Nice.
I need it. Yeah.
Have you done much investments in the stock market and such?
Yes.
Bitcoin?
In the last 2 years, so I pretty much spent 2021 and 2022 paying off my debts.
Nice.
I'm like pretty much there. I have student loans.
Okay.
From traditional Chinese medicine school. I think we talked about that last time as well. So I have student loans, and other than that, I'm like debt free.
That's good. Just those though? Just the traditional medicine school one?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Nice.
And so I focused a few years paying off my debt. Now I have money, and then I have I have a very low cost of living. I live with my brothers. You know, I don't pay that much in rent or bills. My car's paid off. Like. I don't take on new debt. You know, I'm not like I could go out and finance a new car right now. My car is 10 years old. Like I could go out and buy a new car. I have decent credit, good salary. I've held my job for a while, but my focus is my financial independence. So I spent those years paying off my debts, like minimal credit card debt. Like I pay it off, right? And then I spent 2022 learning about investing in the stock market. And 2023 really not until 2023 I began investing like a little bit of money. I'm just getting my feet wet, you know. I gotta handle like the emotional roller coaster sometimes, and that's a big part of it. And now I'm like heavily going into it where like 20% of my paycheck is going into my investment portfolio in my retirement account. And then I actually began learning about investing in the stock market when I was in college, but I was broke. So I didn't have money to invest. So everything was just theoretical. Like, I'm like reading books and watching videos. And this and that.
That sounds great.
Yeah. But now I'm in a position where like, okay, it's time to take this seriously. And it's ultimately something I wish I would have started doing when I was in college. Like I forgot, even if I just had like $50 a month, I wish I would just which I did, right? Rather than going out to eat, like I should just put that money in. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
That's something I wish I would have done.
I commend people who can. It's hard, man. It's hard, you know. Especially when you have, you know, habits and stuff, and you know, it's hard to break some certain habits.
And investing is just like every other thing when it comes to like growth, like exercise and dieting, like training. You know, your first day in the gym, it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be tough. You know, it's you're out of shape, muscles aren't fully developed. Your first time doing a new martial art, you don't have the muscle memory. You know, so it's hard, and you'd be tired. The first week in the boxing gym is always the hardest one. But as you keep doing it, you build momentum, and it gets easier and easier to do it. And then, like, boxing helps me with my diet because it's like, if I don't eat healthy, I'm going to be suffering in the gym. Like, I'll come Monday.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not going to be able to breathe. My muscles hurt. It's going to suck. And so, like, that motivates me to make better choices. And then same thing with, like, investing. It's like, once you start seeing your money grow, whoa, I put, like, $100 in there a month ago, a year ago, and it's grown. That's, like, motivating. Whoa, like, now I want to figure out how I can put more money in there now. Oh, I can, you know, cut back on these expenses. I don't need to go out and do this. And it's, like, motivating, you know? So it's, like, it's all about building momentum.
Definitely. About those habits.
Yeah, starting and building momentum and educating yourself. And I think the other part is, like, people don't know what to expect. Just like walking into a gym, man. Like, I think a lot of people think of, like, a jiu-jitsu gym or an MMA gym or a boxing gym as super intimidating. I'm going to go in there and just get beat up, you know, by everyone there who's, like, bigger, stronger, more experienced than me. Like, that's not how it is at all. Like, you know, you work your way up, you know. And people think of the stock market as like, man, I'm going to invest my money and then lose it all, you know. And it's like, it's just about educating yourself and trying it out and getting started.
Definitely. Are you constantly, like, buying and selling as well? Or you letting some sit?
I let some sit. And then I started doing this, like, options trading. Where it's like, I do, like, weekly selling calls and puts. And there's this strategy called, like, the wheel strategy. Pretty low risk. So pretty much I put money down, I sell a put, and I agree if it hits this price, I'll buy it. If not, I get my money back. And it's like, it's a way to just, so I do both.
That's crazy.
and then it's like, you know, to sell a call option where it's like I will sell a call option to sell these stocks at a certain price by the end of the week if it hits that price. If not, I keep my stocks and I collect the premium.
Nice.
And it's like I just sort of dove into it. And the great thing about today, as opposed to, and man, that's one thing. It's like, look, technology has made this more accessible than ever. And you know, we were talking earlier, or we're about retirement is big on my mind just because of the work that I do. I work with a lot of elderly people, a lot of elder people who are struggling, living on a fixed income, Social Security check, and you know, if they have one thing go out, like their water heater breaks, like they don't have the funds to get that replaced. Like it's a huge deal, and so this is when I became more focused on my finances and my retirement. And gosh, I forgot what did you ask me again?
Buying and selling.
Buying and selling. Yeah. So I got more focused on my retirement account, and I completely forgot. I lost track of where I was going with this.
But
about educating myself and how it's more accessible. But see, the thing is, a lot of people who I work with say they're like 70 years old. Like, think of a 70-year-old, one client, 60, 70-year-old Mexican American, Chicana, who grew up in Denver. You know, she was, you know, in the Chicano movement back in the 70s, part of the West Walkout, right?
Yeah.
Involved in the community, you know, started, you know, this program, she was in that program, like super involved, right? And today I'm like, why don't you have a retirement account? Why don't you have this? Why don't you have that? Like that would have helped you if you did that when you were younger. But see, the thing is, they didn't have those opportunities. There was roadblocks, right? For like a person of color, low income person of color. Like the only way to access this is before computers were invented.
Yeah.
So you had to go to like a company, a firm,
To the building.
yeah, where it's like, you know, wealthy white people, and you're not exactly, you know, welcome there.
Yeah.
And you know, you need like $2,000 or $1,000 just to even open an account. Like, yo, we don't have that money, right? And so there's just a lot of barriers for lower income people and for people of color to access this stuff. Then the computer was invented, but you also need money to own a computer. Like in the 90s, like only wealthier people owned computers, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But now, today we live in an age where everyone has a smartphone. And then there are like companies like that make it super accessible. You can literally just download an app, and as long as you're, you know, a Social Security and a bank account and an ID, you can open an account, and you can do it on your phone. Like, this wasn't possible 50 years ago. This wasn't possible 100 years ago. And so now, literally, an 18-year-old can download the app on their phone with an 18-year-old with a bank account. Can download an app on their phone and get signed up in 10, 15 minutes and put $20 into an account and invest out those $20. Right? When I tried to open up an account when I was in college, literally 15 years ago, I needed $1,000. Well, this is why I couldn't invest. Because I was doing all this research, but I was in college, I didn't have any money. And then when I went to go to like one of the companies that, one of the investment firms, they're like, yeah, to open up an account, you need at least minimum $1,000 to open it. Like, dude, I'm in college, like I don't have $1,000 to spare, like. And so those barriers no longer exist, right? Because of these apps and our phones, like we have that technology, right? And so like the elderly people who I work with, right? And I'm thinking, well, why don't you have a retirement account? And I realized in their days, it wasn't accessible to them. This is why they're struggling. But this is what they fought for, right? They fought for like, yeah. So now my big thing is like all the young people I'm working with, like, dude, like realize like you can do this now. This is super important for your future, for your financial future, and you can do it. And 50 years ago, it wasn't possible, right?
Wow.
Like, yeah.
I agree, man. It's like we're talking about, you know, everyone needs to have a nest egg, you know, because one day we're all going to get old, and, you know, I don't want to work forever, you know, and I mean, you know, so it's nice, be smart to have something to fall back on other than we were talking about damn it,
like retirement
government,
plans. Like Social Security.
Social Security, yeah, like that's
It might not exist when we get old, like,
right.
Like,
Dang, that would suck.
that's the reality too. Like,
Yeah.
Dang. No,
So yeah, you know, it's and yeah, Roth.
yeah.
Shout out to Roth.
Like a record, set up a Roth IRA, and so the other part too is when I was in college, I had to read books about this stuff, and then for people to learn it, people had to go into the industry. They had to intern at these corporate. Now we literally have YouTube, like
Right.
YouTube is so amazing. And like you don't even have to read books on investing more. Literally just watch YouTube videos. Like,
straight up, it's crazy.
and it's like what's amazing about YouTube is I can be an expert in my field, and 50 years ago I had to write a book about it to get for you to access my knowledge without me being there physically. I had to write a book, which means you had to read a book, which means you had to find my book. But now, like, experts in their field can literally put videos up on YouTube, and you're getting all their knowledge, like, for free. Not all their knowledge, but their knowledge that they're willing to share with you for free.
It's magical.
Yeah.
That's insane. Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking about this the other day. You know, it is crazy that, yeah, you know, because I do it a lot. You know, like when I think about something or I have a question, you know, I'll Google it or I'll, you know, go into it and do a little research and like, you know, we can do that. You know, I don't have to go to the library. I don't have to read a book. I can just, and it's there and do a little deeper digging, find it 2 to 3 places like, oh, that must be the thing. It's like, wow.
So, in 2004, when I was brand new to boxing, and I wanted to get really good, and it's like a mystery. Like, how are these guys so good? What do they know that I don't know? And so I tell Tomas. So back in those days, I had to read books. I had to find documentaries. I would go on like HBO and go through like their TV, like their watch show, like their list of like what's gonna come on. Try to look for boxing documentaries, and I gotta time it, make sure I watch it.
Yeah.
Like I had to do all these things. Like man, I go like get videos, and you know. And now, literally, you just go on YouTube and you have like Mike Tyson doing his training techniques. You have like you have access to so much. Where it's like, man, growing up, man, I had to do the most just to learn a little bit. Like,
it's crazy.
It's wild, man. Technology has changed the game for everything, you know, and certainly for investments and certainly just information in general.
yeah,
Yeah, but they call it the information age.
yeah.
It's just right at our fingertips. Anything you ever wanted to know.
It's like ignorance is a choice now.
Right?
For real. It absolutely is.
Most definitely.
You know?
Sheesh.
So one thing that helped me, like, with my finances is, so in my 20s, I didn't care about my finances. I cared about my health and my well-being, my mental and emotional health. I wanted to focus on my healing and my spiritual journey because I wanted to be happy. I wasn't a happy person. And so for me, what was more important than being rich was being happy and healthy. So that's where all of my energy and everything went to. And martial arts and training came naturally to me. Discipline, like when it came to training and martial arts, discipline, the focus, everything was like super natural to me. Whereas my money kind of just came and went. There was no discipline in my money really because that wasn't my area of focus. So when I began to make that shift, I had to make a mental shift where it's like, not only am I a warrior in the gym, not only am I focused, now I'm also a financial warrior. Like that's how to begin thinking. Now I'm not just disciplined with my diet and with my training routine. I'm also disciplined with my money now. Like I have to like think about my money as my soldiers. Like these are my army, right? I'm gonna grow them, right? I'm not gonna just like waste them away. No, I'm gonna grow these. I want to grow these guys, and put them to work, and be disciplined with them, right? It's like I took that mental shift, right? And like that's how I had to see myself as a financial warrior, financial discipline, right? Like that helped me so much.
That's a good way of looking at it.
And it's like the other thing too is, I was just in some life situations where I was broke, like where like I had to leave everything. Imagine picking up and leaving and starting over in a new state, in a new city, no job, bills are still coming, and you have no safety net. Right? I was in that situation twice in my life, and I remember when I first moved out to Oregon, didn't have a job, money's running out, my bank account was in the red for months. Like I was in the negatives for months, and that's when I decided, like, man, I gotta do something about this. Like, I gotta figure out a way to bounce back. I gotta get a job to begin with, right? But some of these life circumstances were like, I had to leave. It's like, if you don't leave, you die. Like I feel like my stepdad I don't know if I ever shared this, but I feel like my stepdad put a hit on me. He tried to have me killed. And so that's why I had to pick up and leave, right? And you don't plan for that. Who plans for that, right? Like, and so then I was in a situation where there was I'm 1,000 miles away, starting over, no job. The only person I knew was my dad. No connections, no nothing, no reserves, no financial reserves. Bank account in the red. And it's like, I got to bounce back from this. I got to get myself out of this hole somehow, right? And so that's really when it began, but it took years to get that going. Now I'm in a position where, like, almost debt free. Other than student loans, I'm debt free. I have money invested. I have a retirement account, I have a brokerage account, which I'm steadily growing. And I had to change my views about money as well, where it's like I started seeing money as energy, meaning the more energy I have, the more I can do. Like, if we go back to martial arts, if I have more energy, I can train more, right? I have more stamina, I have more endurance. The more I train, the more I can learn, the more I can develop, right? And it's the same thing with money. The more money you have, the more you can do with it, the more opportunities you can grow for yourself, right? And so for me, having more, being financially focused isn't about me trying to flex or, have the biggest house or have the biggest car. This will allow me to impact the most people by setting up my gym, using that energy to create this, which is going to help a lot of people, right? Like, that's how I began to see it as well. It's not just about me trying to flex how much money I have, or, changing that mindset as well, or like me being greedy and, oh, I have more than you, therefore I'm better than you. Like, no, like none of that stuff is applicable. Like, I need to build this reserve of energy so I can create something that's going to help a lot of people. Right?
And I mean, in the end, right, it's about, getting that home, building that generational wealth for the, ancestors, right? At least that's my goal.
Yeah.
I mean, I have to get some acres someday.
That's something, growing up, I grew up in poverty. And one thing is, I wanted to be able to, like, I grew up, like, I wanted to be able to, like, I don't have kids. And I told myself when I was young, like, I'm not going to have kids until I can provide the lifestyle that I wish I had. Until I can provide my kids with a stable home. Like, I was moving around a lot. I remember, like, oftentimes I didn't have a bed growing up, and, like, that was normal for me. We just roll up some blankets and I'd sleep on the floor. Like, I used to sleep on the floor all the time. Like, that was normal for me. And so I told myself, like, until I get to a point where I can provide my kids with the nutrition, the diet that I wish I had growing up, that I can provide them with the home that I wished I had growing up, like, I'm not going to do that. So that's also, like, another motivator, right? And then also until I develop myself. So I spent my 20s working on my mental and emotional and spiritual health, because I didn't want to pass my traumas or my damage onto my future kids, right? So I'm going to work on myself, because you're not going to inherit all this, like, damage from me. And so now I'm in a place where I'm working on my finances, because I'm going to teach my kids from an early age how to manage their finances, things that, my parents and the adults in my life didn't teach me, because they never had it. They grew up in poverty. They never had money in their lives growing up, so they didn't know how to work with it, how it worked, how to manage it. My uncle, when I first started working, I was 15, my uncle tells me, like, yeah, man, once you get your paycheck, you can start buying your clothes, you can get your cologne, you can start going out. because that's what he knew. Like, he came from Mexico. He never had money, right? So he came to the U.S., started working. Now I can buy clothes. Like, that's awesome. And for him, that's a level up, right? But the advice I should have got was like, now you can save some of your money and you can invest most of it and you can spend some of it, right? That's what I should have. That's the advice I should. I wish I would have got. And my uncle was doing his best with what he knew. Like, I still love him. I still like him. But with my kids, I'm gonna be like, look, this is how you work with money from a young age, and I can teach you to do it because I did it myself, right? Yeah. So that's what part of this journey is too, and as I learn and as I grow, I can impact those around me, with like Tomas too, right? Teaching about money and finances, and all this stuff,
Yeah, it's good knowledge, man. They don't teach you that in high school, you know.
Nope. No. Yeah. Nope.
Yeah, it sucks. I wish they did. I always used to wonder that. I was like,
that'd be
why
cool. They
don't
taught you how to do your taxes, huh? So we can all just do our taxes ourselves. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
But you know, that'd be cool if we were get taxed in general.
Yeah. It might make things easier, but
I mean, I don't know.
And it's like, it's also about taking care of like yourself and your own needs. Like, one of the biggest stressors that we have here is around money, paying bills, this and that. And it's like, I want to do that for myself, where I want to take that stress off of myself, where it's like, I'm not worried about it no more. So, and what that does is it leaves you with more energy to focus on what you really want to focus on. So what I found is, like, if I have to worry about putting gas in the car, or, you know, if I have to worry about buying groceries or paying rent, how can I show up, like, you know, for you know, the students who I train, if, like, in the back of my mind, I'm always worried about this stuff, right? But when that's no longer an issue, now I can be fully 100% there with them, you know, in their development. And so it's kind of like, by taking care of myself and my own needs, now I have energy left over to help others, or to, you know, do what, or, you know, in my job, or, you know, whatever it is that I do. So the metaphor, like, have a cup that's overflowing. I have more than I need. So now I can, you know, do more.
Definitely. It's the dream.
Yeah.
You don't want to be in survival mode.
Dude, that sucks.
You can't live at that point.
No.
Surviving.
Yeah.
You're barely making it. You're like,
And people live their whole lives in survival mode. You know, and it's like, man, that sucks. Yeah.
And we don't even I don't think most people realize it.
It's normal.
Yeah.
That's what life is. You know?
Yeah. It's to survive, you know. At least it has been for so long. But this is what we've built after generations on generations, and now we have a chance to live. We could travel, do all this crazy stuff, you know, like you said, accessibility. We could just research stuff, learn whatever we freaking want, you know, and evolution is insane right now. That's why these kids, like, we're gonna be seeing these kids grow up. Oh man, we're gonna be seeing some interesting stuff.
Yeah, it'll be crazy to see when we're like, well, in like 20 years from now, you know, see what the world looks like.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting. Are you an optimist? You think the future's looking bright, or how do you feel?
Oh man, that's a great question. I think overall, just like from a spiritual perspective, I feel like everything is happening the way it's supposed to happen. Is everything ideal from a human perspective? No. Is everything perfect? Like, no. But I truly believe that, like, things are the way they're supposed to be. So, like, I'm a huge believer in karma. Like, studying karma changed my life. I don't remember if we talked about this. But when I went to India, they have a different perspective on karma than what we typically think here in the U.S. Here in the U.S., and, you know, some of this stuff is kind of difficult to really fathom, like really like digest. Where it's like we think that karma is like, oh, I did something bad, now something bad is gonna happen to me. But what, you know, I don't even know if I want to talk about some of this stuff. It's like kind of made me feel like I don't want to look like a jerk or.
For sure, I mean it's up to you.
You know, it's like it's kind of like the belief is maybe in a past life there's something happened. How about this? When I was in rural Eastern Oregon, I lived like on a property where they had cows. And I would go and like look at the cows. And I would look into their eyes and I felt like a soul was there. And I felt like this was a soul, like maybe this cow, the previous life may have been a cattle rancher. Maybe in their previous life they were a cattle rancher, and now in this life they came in as a cow so they could experience what it's like to be farmed for your meat. You know, I feel like that happens a lot. It's like, you know, maybe people go through challenges in life because in a previous life they were the ones doing the hurting. And now in this life they're getting hurt so that they can sort of experience and know what that's like. But it's for the development of their overall soul, which from a Western perspective, it's like, but that sucks. That person didn't do anything. Like they were born into this situation and they were victimized and they didn't do anything to deserve this. And from, you know, from that perspective, like that's terrible. Then there's a like larger perspective where it's like, anyways, so just sort of like seeing things from that lens, from that broader lens, brings me to more peace, where it's like things are happening the way they're supposed to, and it's beyond my control, and it's not my job to interfere, because maybe this person needs to, maybe that, you know, they have some karma, like maybe this person who was experiencing a lot of racism in this life, maybe in the previous life, they were that white racist. And then in this life, they came in as a person of color so that they can experience that. And that's not anything for me to interfere with, right? Like, and so I just learned to accept things as it is. So when you ask me about the future, I just trust that it's going to be the way it needs to be. I don't know, right? Like, I'm going to accept it as it is and just trust that everything is flowing.
I mean, yeah, right on, man. I mean, yeah, it is what it is, though, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you can't really. I mean, you can do what you do, and that has an effect. But you know, yeah, things will transpire out of your control sometimes.
Yeah.
A lot of it.
So, like, and I say that for me as well. Like, I feel like in some of my past lives, and I journeyed through this through my psychedelics. It's not me like wishing. It's like I've taken some psychedelic journeys where I've seen some of my past lives, and that's the only reason. That's the main reason why I believe in it. If I hadn't experienced this for myself, I'd be like, maybe it's true, maybe it's not. But I've had situations where it's like, yo, I took a lot of psychedelics, I entered a meditative state, and I was launched into like another world, and I saw myself in another time, and I knew it was me. And I think in some other lives, I had a lot of wealth, and I was part of like the ruling class or the elite class. And then in this life, I was born into a life of poverty. Okay, now you're gonna see what it's like to be on the other side, right? Like, okay, I get it, right? Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So you, okay, and so that's like fully like, so you fully believe like in like karma, right?
Yeah, and I feel like I chose this, like, and that took some of my bitterness and angerness. I was like, man, you know, I was born into poverty, and like my dad was an alcoholic, and like, and you know, if he would have managed his money better, I wouldn't have suffered so much. But it's like, no, like, I chose this. Like, I wanted to know what it was like to be a person of color in poverty in a society that's fairly racist, because at one point in my life, I was on the other side, right? Yeah, or not? Yeah, of my journey, of my soul journey. You know, yeah.
I like that.
Wow.
Is that like something like you like really learned when you went to India? Yeah, or
India was my pivot point. Prior to that, I was closed off to a lot of spiritual stuff. Like when I was in high school, when I had a very strong mathematical brain, logical brain, everything had to make sense. Like, and you know, I grew up in a society where it was science based, you know, it had to be proven, fact based or whatever. And I was super closed off to a lot of things, even though I had many spiritual experiences, but I had to always rationalize it in my head. And then when I went to India and studied the Tibetan refugees in exile, and you know, was immersed in Buddhist culture and monks, and they began talking to us about their culture. I'm like, wait a minute, some things don't make sense to me right now, and I can't explain that. And either they're lying about their experience, or there's some things that they know that I don't know, because statistically, they shouldn't be able to do that. They shouldn't know that. Like, how are they doing this? There's something beyond that I'm not getting. And that experience, what it did was it opened my mind to possibilities. And then I spent the next 10 years exploring those possibilities. Yeah.
Wow. Nice. Yeah, I need to go to, where'd you go to? Tibet, Nepal?
It was India, so it was northern India at the foothills of the Himalayan mountains. So where a lot of Tibetan refugees went to escape Tibet, to escape China.
Okay.
And that's also the home of the Dalai Lama. Like, that's where he has his temple. So there were a lot of Tibetan people, a lot of monks there.
Wow.
And there were just things there that just blew my mind. I couldn't fathom. Like, for example, one time we went on a hike. It was like a 3-hour hike in the mountains, and I didn't want to spend the night. I wanted to get back to the motel. So I decided to make the journey back, but you had to be back by like 8:00 because they locked the gates. And then I got lost. And I'm walking down this mountain. I have no idea where I'm at. I'm just walking down, and I see a monk, a Buddhist monk, just walking on his path. I see him. Okay, I don't want to. And he stops to talk to me. And first he's like, smiles at me. He's like, hi. He's trying, but I thought he was just trying to say hi, and I was gonna be on my way because I'm an American. I'm like, hi, I don't need to talk to you. I got somewhere to be, right? But he's trying to figure out what language I speak because he's looking at me. I'm not white. Right? I'm not European. I don't look like an American. So I was trying to figure out, is this guy Arab? I got mistaken for Hindi. I got mistaken for Arab, for Muslim out there. And so he's trying to figure out what language. He stops me, trying to figure out what language I speak. He's like, oh, English. You speak English? I'm like, yes. And then he tells me, okay, so where you stay? And I'm like, why you need to know where I'm staying at? Like, I didn't say that, but I'm like, why do you care, right? I'm thinking, like, why you know it? He's like, oh, where you stay? And I'm like, Dharamsala. Oh, okay. Oh, no. And like, I didn't want to answer him because, like, why are you asking me where I'm staying at? That's kind of suspicious. Like, in my mind, right? And he says, oh, you are lost, yes? And I'm like, yeah, you are lost, so where you stay? And I was like, oh, Dharamsala. And then he, like, gave me directions. And what I didn't realize at the time was he knew I was lost without me saying a word. And I was just like, oh, and at that moment, at that time, I was just grateful that this guy helped me out. And years later, as I continued my own spiritual journey, when I began to become more empathetic, I began to feel other people's energies. And I felt like I was even tapping into other people's thoughts. And it was crazy. And all this other stuff. And then I realized, I went back, years ago, without me saying a word, that monk was tapping into my energy and my thoughts. And that's how he knew I was lost and that I needed directions, even though we didn't speak the same language, even though I didn't ask for anything. I was just going to walk by him and keep walking, say hi and go on. But this dude knew, and it's like, yeah, my mind began to, like, expand. Like,
that sounds like a crazy experience.
Were there, do you have any psychedelic experience in India or no?
No. And so in that culture is all about meditation. So they develop, and then I began looking into this stuff, and it's like, yo, like to them that's normal. I began like reading online and all, trying to look into their culture, and it's like, yeah, for a Buddhist monk who a long time meditator to be able to, you know, have these sort of psychic abilities and tap into your thoughts and your emotions, oh yeah, that's normal. They can do that. To us, that sounds crazy. That's like, what are you, like Marvel superhero or something, right? Like, but over there, it's just normal. And it turns out they developed that through their meditation. Me, I developed it more through psychedelics and meditation. And so I didn't have any, and no, back when I was in there, I was super close-minded. So I was closed off to any psychedelic experiences. The concussions are what drove me to it, the brain injuries, which was a few years later. And so when I was, and what I theorize is that, you know, these monks, daily meditation and practicing their philosophies and their spiritual practices is like the slow and steady way to develop their spirituality. Whereas like a crazy psychedelic journey is like huge as so like the exercise comparison that I like to make is like meditation is like going on a slow jog, but you do it every day, you do it consistently, and it's not crazy intense. You start off with a 5-minute jog, then a 10-minute jog, then a 30-minute jog, and 10 years later your endurance is crazy, your legs are super strong, your cardio is through the roof, right? Whereas taking psychedelics is like, I'm just gonna go climb the incline right now, right? No preparation. I haven't been working out, but I'm just gonna go do that. Like, it's just super intense, hits you hard. It's like this huge workout all of a sudden. Whereas meditation is that slow and steady jog, daily jog, every day, slowly building you up. Right? And so these monks is 20, 30 years of this. They're at that level, right? So they don't do psychedelics, right? Yeah.
That's wild. Yeah, that's awesome though. Yeah, we've talked about that before, about like the meditation and that's meditation's powerful. That'd be crazy, man, to like get to that point where you're so deep into it and just like your mind's doing some crazy stuff.
I got more serious about meditation when I had my concussion, my brain injuries, and I did everything possible to try to heal my brain. This was 2013. And meditation was on that list of things that could help. Right? But I'm going to try anything. And it changed my life in more ways than one. And it's like, we think of it in the West as like, oh, if you're stressed or anxious, meditation could help, you know, breathing exercises. And like, that's absolutely true, but it goes much, much more than that. Where like, there's a lot of research out there that says that it actually changes the physical structure of your brain, where it can reduce like the amygdala, which is responsible for fear and stress. So like long-term meditators, like the parts of their brain responsible for fear and stress are physically smaller. Like they shrunk that. And so they're not even capable of fear and stress the way a regular human is, or the way a non-meditator is. And the parts of their brain responsible for like happiness and empathy are physically larger. Like it's just like visible, like it's like on brain scan, like it's so visible. And so it you know, over 10 years now, I feel like I'm not capable of fear and stress the way regular people are. You know, things happen, people are stressed out, or something happens, they get scared, and it's like, dude, you're not gonna react. Like, react to what? I don't know. So that's one thing. And then the other thing, the other way I feel like it changed my life was going back to law of attraction, where it's like I've changed my thoughts, so I'm not producing violent thoughts or crazy thoughts. I'm producing peaceful thoughts. I'm producing happier thoughts, and that's what's coming into my life more. Right? I've changed my energy, my vibration through meditation, so now I'm attracting better things into my life.
Yeah, you know, synergy goes hand in hand.
And if everything I'm telling you, everything I'm talking about right now, if you tell this to 15-year-old me, 15-year-old me is like, yeah, you're full of shit. Like, I bet you can't even fight. Like,
shit. Man. When sorry, I forgot to ask you this, but are you from Colorado?
I was born in California.
Okay.
And I moved out here when I was like 10 years old.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, man. Interesting. Did you go to high school out here? Yeah.
Yeah.
Where'd you go to high school?
I graduated, well, it's from the Mapleton School District. We used to be called Skyview. So it was interesting. When I arrived, they took that big high school and they split up into like 6 or 7 small schools. Kind of like out west.
Yeah.
You know, they split them into like little schools or whatever.
Yeah.
But they did that at like my high school. But like actual different buildings, there's like 6 of them too.
Huh. They're different high schools?
But part of the same. So like when they play sports, they came together as like Skyview.
So kind of like how West was, sort of. Yeah. Interesting.
So I went to 2 of those small schools. My freshman year in high school, I was in California. First semester freshman year, I was in California. Second semester freshman year, I was in Boulder. And I went to like the all-white school in Boulder, Fairview High School, second semester. And then 10th grade, I moved out to where I'm at now. I went to like Skyview. Yeah. And really, I feel like it was great. I feel like if I hadn't gone to that specific school or to that school district, I might not have gone to college. Honestly, they supported me so much in that process. If I would have stayed at a big traditional high school, if I would have been in California or in Boulder, I probably wouldn't have got Daniels Fund scholarship. I wouldn't have gone to college. I would have, yeah.
Dang, you got the Daniels Fund?
Yeah.
That's what's up.
And the school helped me too. Like the counselors, they really helped me with my application and pushed me to it, and like really supported me in that. Whereas if I would have been in a big school, I was just like another student. Like, yeah.
That's what's up, though. Yeah. And that helps, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Did you have a lot of debt from college because of that? Do you have a lot of scholarships, or do you just have a lot of debt?
Well, the Daniels Fund covers everything.
Yeah, because it's full, right?
Yeah, it's like you get the financial aid that you can, you get the scholarships that you can, and then they pay the rest.
Nice.
So it's kind of like, it's not a full ride, but it basically is. So my student debt comes from traditional Chinese medicine when I was working on my master's degree.
That's cool.
Which I feel like has paid for itself. Like, I broke my knee a year and a half ago. I'm talking like the ligaments and the cartilage like torn. In a martial arts accident, a kung fu accident. And I didn't get surgery, and I decided I was going to heal it myself. And I just believed that I could, and I used traditional Chinese medicine. I used acupuncture with like electrical stimulation to keep the inflammation low which lowered my pain. So I wasn't in pain unless I like jolted it or if I did something to mess with it. But I didn't need painkillers, and the acupuncture with the electricity helped repair the ligaments. I felt like the ACL, MCL were like, it helped it repair faster, but it didn't help with the cartilage. For that, I needed dietary changes. I started including more collagen in my diet. I started bone broth. Anyways, by learning this Chinese medicine, I've learned how to heal myself. I feel like I can prevent illness and disease in myself. And it's basically like, hey, would you pay $50,000 to like never have surgery, never worry about surgeries or chronic diseases or like illnesses? Would you for the rest of your life? Like, would you pay $50,000 for that? Like,
I don't know.
Yeah. Like, how much money I saved from not getting that surgery, right?
Yeah, paid for it pretty much.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Dude, that would suck.
Yeah.
Having to pay for that.
How long was that recovery with doing all that?
A year,
Yeah.
11 months. But I mean, you saw me train. Like, did you know that I had a knee injury? Or like, could you tell? Like, if you worked out with me, could you tell that a year and a half ago, like, I couldn't walk? No, right?
No, definitely not.
No. So you can't even like, and that's the thing is like you forget. That's one thing is when it comes to the healing process, both emotional, spiritual, and physical healing. Once you forget that you went through that, that's when you've healed. Like all the stuff that I went through as a kid and then in my 20s, all the trauma. So a lot of people, it sticks with them and becomes their identity. Oh, you know, I'm a this, I was that, but like I forgot. Like you have to ask me. I have to sit here and think about like, oh, I went through this as a kid. Oh, I went through that. But most of the time, I don't even remember all the terrible stuff that I went through. And like that's when you know you've healed. Like, oh yeah, I did have people try to kill me. Yeah, that did happen. Yeah. Like that's, yeah, you know, like, it doesn't bother me anymore. Like I forget about it. And same thing, I can go to work and I can climb into an attic and I can climb into a crawl space, and I have completely forgot that a year and a half ago my knee was broken. When you don't even remember that you had an injury, that's when you've healed, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely agree with that.
Definitely, yeah. That's. Never thought about it like that, but yeah.
And that's why people look at me and like, they don't realize everything I've been through. Like, because like they look at me, they're like, oh, you look like you're good. Like, you're like, you know, stress-free, work-free, you're carefree lifestyle, you're happy. Like, you couldn't have been through what I'm going through. You know, because you wouldn't understand what I'm going through because you look happy. I'm like, I look happy for a reason, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
Call it here, but this. I like this conversation, man. It's been great.
Yeah. I'm good. Yeah.
Thank you for coming.
Oh, absolutely.
It's been awesome.
Yeah.
And thank you everyone for listening. Like, share, subscribe. Tell your friends. Tell your friends' friends and friends.
I appreciate y'all having me back, man.
Do you have any? You don't do like social media or anything, do you? Or do you have like a TikTok or anything?
Man, I try to stay off all that stuff, like
for sure.
And I just like value my privacy, and it's not just my privacy; it's the energy thing too. It's because like when I like to. Like, people have access to your energy through social media. Like, I feel when I've deactivated my accounts, I felt it. Where it's like I have more energy now. Like, I'm not being sucked. Like, it's weird. It's weird. So I do have all that stuff, but I'm not very active. And it's just to like maybe stay in contact with some people. But like, that's one thing is but I appreciate. Like, I still follow YouTube, right? Or I still go on podcasts. I still like everything that y'all doing, right? Like, I still appreciate everything, you know, and having the opportunity to, like, for example, like the financial focus and advice, like your retirement account, like you can invest $20 a month, literally. Like, if that's what you can do, you do it. And I share that with like people close to me, right? Some like the young workers who like work under me, who I supervise, and some of the kids that I train. Like, look, man, this, you know. But here you can reach a larger audience, and that's what's awesome, you know. Yeah.
Definitely. Well, hey, man, you know, I always love to have you back, and whenever you get your business rolling, love to have you come talk about it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, or even before then, you know, whenever.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome too. Yeah, man. Freaking, it's been well. It's been great. So.
Yeah, let's not wait another 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know. Yeah, next time.
For sure. Thank y'all for listening. Like, subscribe, tell your friends. Yeah.
Peace.
Peace and love.